You've been lying to yourself, and the most painful part, you didn't even know it. You thought you were being kind, you thought you were keeping the peace, but you were actually building your own prison, brick by silent brick. There comes a moment in life, a raw, gut-wrenching awakening, when you wake up and finally see the truth. You realize that you have been giving your power away, handing it over on a silver platter to those who never even deserved a crumb of your attention. You loved people with a ferocity that could move mountains, who did not love you back. You placed your sacred trust in hands that felt like home, only to realize they were empty, only came to take. You cracked open your soul, showed them the messy, beautiful, vulnerable truth of you, to people who only saw an opportunity to gain control. And now, you're tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. You are tired of the pretending, tired of smiling when your soul is screaming, tired of being used, of being the convenient option, the reliable source of energy for everyone but yourself. Let me tell you something. From one heart that has been broken, shattered on the floor, and rebuilt with iron and grace, this ends now. This is your declaration of independence. You are no longer available for manipulation. You are no longer a puppet in someone else's play, your strings pulled by their whims. You are the author of your story, and this chapter is about reclaiming your power. Manipulation is a subtle, venomous force. It doesn't crash through the door, it slips in through the cracks you didn't know you had. It often slips by unnoticed, a quiet shadow in your periphery, until it is already too late. It hides in the background, growing stronger, feeding itself each time you stay silent. Every single time. You hold back your thoughts, suppress your emotions, or swallow your feelings just to protect someone else's comfort. You are giving manipulation more space to grow. It flourishes in the darkness you create when you are afraid to speak the truth. You feel that, don't you? The weight of all those unsaid words. When you are afraid to stand up for yourself, when you choose silence instead of expression, the manipulator knows they can keep you under control. They know that as long as you keep quiet, they can twist your reality, reshape your perspective, and use you for their benefit. In those moments, you begin to fade, and they begin to take over your story. Silence is not always golden. Sometimes, silence is the most dangerous tool used against you. Manipulators rely on your silence to keep their power intact. When they confuse you, when they twist your words, or when they make you believe your fundamental needs are a burden, that silence becomes the perfect, fertile ground for their control to grow. When you do not speak up, they get to shape the narrative, and they will make sure that in their story, you are always the villain, the problem, the one who is too much. That is how they keep their grip on you, by silencing your truth. The truth is that your voice is one of the most powerful, untapped weapons you possess. It is how you communicate your needs, protect your boundaries, and express the brilliant, unique thoughts that only you can bring into this world. When you silence yourself, you hand the pen to someone else. You allow others to make choices for you, even if it costs you your well-being, your joy, your very spirit. It is easy to believe that keeping quiet will keep the peace. But what it really does is allow the manipulation to continue, to fester, to grow. What you are protecting is not peace, it is an illusion, a fragile ticking time bomb. You are pretending to avoid conflict. But in reality, you are giving someone else full control over the situation. Think about that. Who is really in charge of your life right now? And when someone else controls your voice, they control your life. Manipulators understand this on a primal level. They know that the longer you stay silent, the more difficult it becomes to speak. They count on your fear of confrontation, your desire to be agreeable, and your beautiful but exploited instinct to avoid hurting others. They know that if they push you just enough, guilt you just enough, or act cold and passive-aggressive long enough, you will eventually shrink back into the familiar comfort of your silence. They are masters at making you question your own judgment. They know how to make you feel like you are too emotional, too dramatic, or simply too much. And every time you retreat, they step forward. Every time you give an inch, they take a mile. They get closer and closer to having complete control. But what they don't know is that you are about to learn their entire playbook. But then comes the shift. It starts not with a roar, but with a whisper. A single, undeniable thought that you can no longer swallow. No more. Everything begins to change the moment you choose to speak. That moment, you claim your truth. Even if your voice trembles, the entire dynamic begins to shift. The ground beneath their feet cracks. They can no longer manipulate your silence. Think about that. Your voice is the key you've been hiding in your own pocket. It is not always easy to find the courage to speak. Sometimes it feels safer to stay quiet, to let things slide, to avoid rocking the boat. It's like being in a room that's slowly filling with water, and you're just standing there praying you'll learn to breathe it. But staying quiet only feeds the cycle of manipulation. The more you let silence speak for you, the more it becomes a prison. You start losing your connection to yourself because you are no longer living in a way that reflects who you really are. You're burying your emotions, denying your needs, all to keep someone else comfortable. Ask yourself, what is the cost of this comfort? And who is really paying the price? In doing so, you are building a toxic environment within your own heart. A garden where you water everyone else's plants while your own wither and die. But listen to me. Speaking your truth does not mean being harsh or unkind. It doesn't mean setting everything on fire. It means being honest about your emotions and your boundaries, even when it is uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. When you speak your truth, you free yourself. You declare your independence from the control that has held you hostage. You remind yourself and everyone else that your feelings matter, that your voice deserves to be heard, that your truth is valid. It might not be easy. It might feel risky, like stepping off a cliff without knowing if there's a net, but it is always worth it. Because every time you speak your truth, you are taking your power back. You are saying with your words and your energy that you will no longer be silenced. You are standing tall in who you are. And that is how everything begins to change. You are telling the manipulator without a single shout that you are no longer a pawn in their game. The power shifts from them to you. And in that shift, you begin to take your life back. You know that feeling, don't you? The first flicker of that power returning? But reclaiming your life is not just about finding your voice in the big, dramatic moments of manipulation. It's about the daily commitment, the micro choices. It's about making a daily commitment to speak your truth, no matter the circumstance. When you consistently express your needs, your desires, and your boundaries, you are teaching people how to treat you. You are creating a clear, non-negotiable standard for what you will and will not accept in every relationship you are a part of. Manipulation cannot survive in the presence of clarity and self-assurance. It's a weed that can't grow in the sunlight. It depends on your hesitation. It feeds off your uncertainty. But when you arrive with a strong understanding of yourself and the courage to articulate what you need and what you are unwilling to tolerate, there is no place for manipulation to grow. Far too many people live in a constant state of inner turmoil because they are afraid to speak up. They fear being disliked. They fear rejection. They fear confrontation. But ask yourself this: what is the greater cost? The temporary discomfort of speaking or the permanent erosion of your soul? The simple, brutal truth is that you cannot live an authentic life if you are continually silencing your voice. You cannot honor yourself while also hiding your feelings for the comfort of others. And the longer you stay trapped in this cycle, the further you drift from your true self and the life you actually want. Speaking your truth is not about pleasing anyone else. It is about honoring who you are. It is about being true to your values and unapologetic about your needs. When you begin to do this, something powerful happens. Your relationships deepen, your connections become more honest, your peace of mind becomes steady and real. If this is the shift you've been craving, hit subscribe. This is just the beginning. As you start to speak your truth more often, you may notice some people resisting. They may push back. They may try to guilt you into being silent, accuse you of being unreasonable, of changing. But do not be deceived. Manipulators will use whatever tools they can to maintain control, whether it is shame, guilt, or even strategic affection. Their goal is to make you question your choice to speak up. But remember this, like a mantra, manipulation only holds power if you allow it. It only thrives when you remain silent. The moment you assert your voice, the moment you draw the line in the sand, you begin to break free from their influence. It is important to understand that speaking your truth is not about convincing others to agree with you. It is about being honest with yourself. That is what matters most. And speaking your truth demands courage. It means being willing to stand in your authenticity, even when there is risk involved. It means being able to say, "This is who I am. This is what I need, and I will not apologize for it." It may feel scary at first, especially if you have spent a long time conditioned to remain silent. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Over time, you will begin to feel stronger. You will feel more confident. You will feel more in alignment with who you truly are. You will no longer feel the need to hide behind a mask or pretend to be someone you're not. And as you continue this practice, something else beautiful begins to happen. You become a source of inspiration. Your courage gives others permission to speak up too. You create a ripple effect of truth-telling, authenticity, and self-empowerment. But what happens when they push back against this new, empowered you? What do you do when your words aren't enough? So the next time you feel that familiar urge to stay silent, that knot in your stomach, I want you to pause. I want you to ask yourself one terrifying, liberating question. Who are you really protecting? Are you guarding your own peace, your own sacred space? Or are you preserving the comfort of someone who benefits from your silence, who grows stronger in the quiet you provide? No matter how uncomfortable it may be, speak your truth, because in the end, silence only serves the manipulator, never you. Let that sink in. Your silence is their oxygen. Cut it off. Now let's talk about the architecture of your freedom. Let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are often misunderstood. They are the most compassionate lie detector you will ever own. Many people believe that setting boundaries is selfish, that it's something done by people who do not care about others. But that could not be further from the truth. That's a lie told by people who profit from you having none. Boundaries are not about pushing people away or being harsh. They are one of the most essential forms of self-respect and self-care. They are not walls, they are the gates to your sanity. When you set boundaries, you are not just preserving your peace. You are declaring your worth to the universe. You are sending a clear message to the world that you value yourself enough to protect your emotional, mental, and physical space. Think of your energy as a sacred garden. Boundaries are the fence that keeps out the weeds and the pests, so the beautiful things inside can actually grow. Boundaries are not walls built to isolate you from others. They are shields that allow you to live honestly and openly without sacrificing your integrity or your inner calm. They allow you to love others wholeheartedly while also loving yourself in the process. Without boundaries, you are giving people unspoken permission to drain your energy, take your time, and walk all over your spirit with no regard for your limits. It's like leaving your front door wide open and being surprised when things go missing. When you neglect to establish clear boundaries, you are essentially letting others write the story of your life. and manipulators excel in environments where boundaries are absent. They push, they manipulate, and they take from you without pause, always serving their own needs. They are not concerned with how their actions affect you. They care only about what they can get. And the moment you let them overstep, you give them the authority to dictate your emotions, your behavior, and how much of yourself you are willing to give. Once that power is handed over, it is not easily reclaimed. That is why boundaries are not optional. They are essential. They are the foundation of a life lived with clarity, strength, and self-respect. Boundaries are the clear, unwavering line that separates what you are willing to accept from what you are not. And they play a defining role in shaping every relationship you have. When boundaries are missing, relationships quickly become strained, imbalanced, and unable to thrive in a healthy way. It becomes a one-way street, and you're the one running out of gas. Ask yourself, in which relationships do I feel drained instead of filled? Establishing boundaries takes both strength and bravery. It is not always simple to say no, especially if you have spent much of your life trying to please others, playing the role of the good one, the easygoing one. But constantly agreeing to things and putting others before yourself comes with a heavy price. It costs you your inner peace, your valuable time, and your emotional and physical well-being. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot continue to give to everyone without first taking care of yourself. If you are always putting yourself last, you will eventually reach a point of exhaustion, a hollowed-out version of yourself. And when that happens, no one benefits from what you have left to offer. Creating boundaries is one of the most powerful ways to show love to yourself. They exist not to isolate you, but to protect your ability to engage with the world in a way that is healthy and sustainable. You cannot show up as your best self when you are constantly sacrificing your needs on an altar for others. Boundaries help you protect your energy, safeguard your mental and emotional health, and remain loyal to your own priorities and beliefs. It is important to understand this crucial distinction. Boundaries are not a method of controlling anyone else's behavior. Instead, they are about guiding your own life. When you set a boundary, you are not demanding that others change. You are simply being clear about how you will respond and what you are willing to allow into your space. For example, if someone regularly disrespects your time by being late or backing out of plans, setting a boundary isn't yelling at them to be on time. It means you choose not to keep making plans with them unless they start valuing your time. This is not about controlling their actions. It is about respecting yourself enough to walk away from patterns that cause you stress or frustration. Your boundaries are not up for debate, and you should not feel the need to defend them endlessly. When you stand firm in what is right for you, you not only teach people how to treat you, but you also remind yourself deep in your bones that you are worthy of consistent respect. Your boundaries reflect what you value, and when you honor those limits, others begin to do the same. A common fear is that setting boundaries will lead to pushback, rejection, or conflict. You think, if I say no, they'll leave. But ask yourself, is a relationship that requires my silence really a relationship I need to keep? Often, the opposite is true. Strong boundaries create healthier relationships. When you are clear and direct about what you need, others are more likely to respect your space and communicate with you in ways that strengthen trust. Respectful boundaries build stronger, more authentic bonds. On the other hand, when you avoid setting boundaries, it often results in hidden resentment, emotional fatigue, and misunderstanding. People may unintentionally take advantage of your kindness or stretch your patience beyond what is reasonable. Without clear boundaries, they may not even realize the harm they are causing. But when you express your limits and uphold them consistently, you create a safe and respectful space for both yourself and those around you. Boundaries help build real connection because everyone involved can feel safe being themselves without fear of being taken advantage of. Setting boundaries is not cruel or selfish. It is about being truthful and clear. You do not need to justify, defend, or feel ashamed for having limits. They are part of who you are, and they exist for a reason. If you constantly feel the need to explain why you need space, rest, or protection, you give others the impression that your boundaries are negotiable. But in truth, your well-being is not up for discussion. You are allowed to have needs, and you are allowed to prioritize those needs. Boundaries are a direct expression of how much you respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, you naturally begin to attract more respect from others. You do not owe anyone a reason for taking care of your own peace. If this is the level of self-respect you're building, hit subscribe. Your journey is ours now. Boundaries are not a luxury, they are vital. Your emotional, mental, and physical space deserves just as much care as anyone else's. There will be moments when others push back against your boundaries. Some people may try to test you, guilt you, or manipulate you into backing down. They might make you feel uncomfortable for asserting yourself. But when you let others cross your boundaries again and again, you are sending a message that your needs do not matter. It is essential to stay grounded in your truth. If someone repeatedly ignores the limits you have set, it is not a reflection of your failure. It is a reflection of their lack of respect, and you are under no obligation to continue allowing that kind of behavior in your life. You have every right to maintain your boundaries without apology. Standards will rise. What once felt acceptable may no longer align with the person you are becoming. That is completely normal. Boundaries are not fixed rules. They are reflections of your growth and development. It is perfectly okay to adjust them as needed. And when you feel that change happening, it is your responsibility to communicate that to the people around you. You are not required to stay stuck in old patterns just to avoid discomfort. Your boundaries can grow with you, and they should. The more you learn about yourself, the more confident and capable you become in protecting your energy, your time, and your heart. It is important to remember that it is never too late to create new boundaries. Even if you have previously allowed others to cross them, you always have the right to protect your space, your peace of mind, and your overall well-being. At the core of every boundary is self-love. Setting boundaries means recognizing your worth and choosing to protect your energy from anything that threatens your stability. It is not an act of selfishness or rudeness. It is an act of preservation. Boundaries allow you to live in alignment with your truth, to navigate life from a place of strength rather than sacrifice. They create the emotional room necessary for you to grow, to evolve, and to stay mentally and emotionally grounded. As you continue to set and uphold boundaries, your sense of identity strengthens. You begin to attract relationships that are built on mutual respect, understanding, and acceptance. And by staying true to your own boundaries, you naturally encourage others to do the same. Always remember this. Boundaries are not signs of selfishness. They are sacred commitments to your well-being. They are the very foundation of healthy relationships, personal development, and true self-respect. You should never feel the need to apologize for having limits. Boundaries are not optional extras. They are essential to your emotional survival. When you set them, you are not just protecting yourself. You are teaching the world how to value you. But what happens when the person you need to set the biggest boundary with is someone you love? So here you stand, at the precipice of your own becoming. The battlefield is quiet now. The echoes of old betrayals have faded. The masks you used to wear lay shattered at your feet. And for the first time in a long time, you can hear the sound of your own soul. Real love, the kind that brings safety and security, will never make you feel anxious or on edge. It will never make you question your sanity. True love should be a refuge, a sanctuary where you are free to be your whole, untamed, imperfect self without fear of judgment, criticism, or manipulation. When love is genuine, it doesn't clip your wings. It believes in your flight. It supports your growth. It nourishes your spirit and encourages you to step fully into who you were always meant to be. Love that demands obedience, that places you in a box of constant expectations, is not love at all. It is control disguised as care. It is a cage, beautifully painted. Real love does not impose, it invites. It does not try to reshape who you are. It celebrates your authenticity. It sees the scars on your heart and calls them constellations. When love becomes about control, it becomes a matter of power. It becomes about who holds the authority, who makes the decisions, and who is allowed to feel seen. That is not love. That is emotional captivity. True love makes you feel valued, heard, and deeply understood for exactly who you are, not who someone else wants you to become. Think about that. Have you been seeking love, or have you been accepting a management plan? If you often find yourself walking on eggshells, adjusting your personality to meet another person's standards, then what you are experiencing is not love. It is control. And no matter how convincing it may look on the surface, that is not something you should ever settle for. When someone truly loves you, they encourage your individuality. They do not hold you back. They do not limit your voice, and they do not shrink your dreams to protect their comfort. They cheer for you, even when they do not fully understand your path, because they respect your right to walk it. Love that is rooted in control seeks to restrain you. It convinces you that you are not enough as you are, that you must change, shrink, or conform in order to be worthy. Real love knows that you are already complete. It respects your independence and sees your strength as something to be admired, not threatened. You do not have to change who you are to be loved. Love, when it is true, creates space for you to thrive, to speak freely, and to make choices without fear of punishment or rejection. It uplifts you rather than diminishing you. It empowers you rather than containing you. This is the foundation. This is the non-negotiable. And from this place of clarity, you reclaim your power. Not the power over others, but the power within yourself. The power that was always yours. This journey of reclamation is the most important one you will ever take. It is a journey of self-discovery. It is the realization that you are the one writing your story. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not determine what happens next. Your future is not fixed. It is created by the choices you make today. And as you become more aware of who you are, you begin to see that you have always had the ability to create a life that is aligned with your truth. Awareness gives you freedom. It allows you to take action that is rooted in clarity, not fear. Reclaiming your power is not about fighting against the world or forcing others to change. It is about coming home to yourself. It is about changing the way you think, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you relate to your own inner world. It is about becoming the version of yourself that you were always meant to be. That journey begins with one powerful truth: the awareness that you can heal, you can change, and you can live the life you truly deserve. Life will challenge you. There will be moments when you feel betrayed, misunderstood, or taken advantage of. In those moments, it is easy to turn inward and question your worth. It is easy to believe that something must be wrong with you. But that pain is not a reflection of your value. It is an invitation to reclaim your voice, your power, and your truth. When someone you trust misleads you, it is natural to feel ashamed. But being deceived does not make you weak. It makes you human. What defines you is not the fall, but the rise. What matters most is not that you were hurt, but that you stood back up with grace and courage. True strength is found not in perfection, but in your ability to recover, to grow, and to move forward when everything inside of you feels broken. You are not weak for having trusted someone who betrayed that trust. You are strong because you refuse to let it destroy you. The ability to stand again after disappointment is one of the clearest signs of resilience. We do not grow by avoiding mistakes. We grow by facing them, learning from them, and choosing to become wiser because of them. Each time you experience betrayal, you are given the opportunity to examine your boundaries, reflect on your values, and recommit to protecting your peace. It is in these moments that you begin to trust yourself more deeply. You learn to listen to your intuition, to stand up for yourself more clearly, and to hold firm to the truth of your own worth. These are the lessons that shape who you become. The pain itself is not what defines you. It is your response to that pain that reveals your strength. Strength is not about never falling. It is about continuing to rise even when it hurts. It is about moving forward despite fear, despite shame, and despite the lingering echoes of disappointment. Every time you choose to rise after being hurt, you build resilience. This world is not always kind, and people do not always treat you with the care and honesty you deserve. But every time you rise, you send a message to yourself and to the world that you cannot be permanently broken. You become someone who learns, adapts, and moves forward. This is true power. The ability to examine your pain, acknowledge your missteps, and still hold your head high is what defines real strength. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. You are defined by the way you chose to heal. In moments like these, when the temptation to shrink or surrender is strong, you have the opportunity to take your pain and use it as fuel. It is easy to become bitter. It is easy to let anger and resentment harden your heart. But bitterness does not make you strong. What makes you strong is your ability to transform that pain into wisdom. You can choose to let the experience make you resentful, or you can choose to let it make you wiser and more compassionate. The decision is always yours. With every step forward, you reclaim more of your power. You begin to understand that your validation does not need to come from anyone else. You start to trust your own judgment, to believe in your ability to make better choices, and to honor the lessons you have learned. You realize that you are not a victim. You are a survivor. You are the creator of your future. No matter what has happened in your past, betrayal may make you feel like you have lost a part of yourself, like your self-respect or dignity has been taken from you. But those things are never truly lost. They can always be reclaimed. With every decision to rise, you gain more clarity about who you are and what you deserve. You begin to see that no one has the power to take away your dignity unless you give it away. You are not defined by the person who hurt you. You are not defined by the lie or the disappointment. You are defined by your decision to rise anyway, to keep going, and to never stop becoming more of the person you were always meant to be. When you rise from painful experiences, you are demonstrating to both the world and to yourself that your value is not dependent on anyone's approval or on someone else's ability to treat you with respect. Your value is inherent. It is permanent. It exists regardless of who fails to see it or who chooses to dishonor it. The very act of rising after being misled is proof of your strength, your resilience, and your refusal to be defined by what hurt you. Being deceived may feel like a wound at first, but it does not have to leave a scar that defines your life. The way you choose to heal makes all the difference. Healing begins with reflection. It involves allowing yourself to feel the emotions that betrayal brings, facing the reality of the experience, and choosing to grow from it. Healing is not instant, and it does not come without effort. But it is always worth it because the person you become through the process of healing is wiser, more grounded, and far more powerful than the one who was hurt. Healing means letting go of the pain without forgetting the lesson. It means learning from what happened so that you do not repeat the same patterns. It's not simply about avoiding future mistakes. It is about evolving into someone who sees more clearly, who knows their worth more deeply, and who lives with greater intention. When you heal fully, you do not just recover. You rise. You rise stronger than ever, and that strength comes from the power you have always carried inside of you. You are not required to remain in the past. You are not obligated to carry betrayal with you as a burden. You are allowed to release it and to rise above it. The path to healing is not smooth. It is not predictable. It can be messy, filled with unexpected emotions and difficult setbacks. But each step you take, even the smallest one, moves you closer to the person you were always capable of becoming. Every time you pick yourself up after being brought low, you prove that you are not defined by what has happened to you. You begin to realize that your power is not something you need to earn. It already belongs to you. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to anyone. The fact that you are still standing, still growing, and still rising is more than enough. You stop allowing the opinions of others or the mistakes of the past to influence your sense of worth. You take ownership of your life with every rise. You become more unshakable. You become more certain of your value, more clear about your boundaries, and more unwilling to accept anything less than respect and honesty. You are not weak for having been deceived. You are powerful because you continue to rise regardless of how many times you fall. Each time you do, you affirm your strength. You prove to yourself that you are capable of overcoming whatever life puts in your way. That strength cannot be taken from you because it does not come from the outside. It comes from within. It is the quiet, steady power that lives in your spirit. The unshakable belief that no matter what happens, you will rise again. That is what makes you unbreakable. Life will test you. Sometimes those tests will come in the form of betrayal, dishonesty, or manipulation. It is easy in those moments to feel broken, to doubt yourself, and to wonder how you allowed someone to mislead you. But being fooled does not mean you are foolish. It means you are human. Every one of us faces situations where our trust is misplaced. We all encounter people who show us one version of themselves only to later reveal another. The real measure of strength is not in avoiding deception. It is in the way you respond after it happens. It is in your willingness to get back up, to learn, and to move forward with more clarity than before. Each time you rise, you grow stronger. You gain insight into what you value, what you deserve, and what you are no longer willing to tolerate. These experiences are not setbacks, they are teachers. They guide you toward a deeper understanding of yourself and of how you wish to live. Rising after being hurt does not mean you forget the pain. It means you choose not to let the pain define you. You do not allow resentment to consume you. You choose peace over bitterness. You step into your power not by avoiding pain, but by choosing to rise anyway. No one can take your dignity from you unless you allow it. The ability to rise, to reclaim your peace, and to live with purpose belongs to you. You do not need permission. You are already enough. Your strength is not measured by how untouched you are by hardship, but by your capacity to transform it. That transformation requires courage. It requires deep reflection, honesty, and the willingness to face what is difficult. But through that work, you become someone who is no longer shaken by deception. You become someone who knows exactly who they are. You begin to protect your peace, establish your boundaries, and hold yourself with a level of self-respect that no one can diminish. The fact that you can rise from pain and rebuild a life of strength, purpose, and peace is proof that you are capable of far more than you once believed. As you continue to move forward, remember that you are not defined by the moments in which you were deceived. You are defined by the moments in which you stood up, moved forward, and claimed your power again. Healing and transformation are not easy, but they are always possible. They are always within your reach. And when you choose to rise, even when you feel like falling, you reveal the extraordinary power that has always been within you. You are resilient, you are strong, and you are capable of creating a life that reflects your worth. The strength you show in rising again and again is a testament to who you are. Your path belongs to you. Every step you take brings you closer to the person you were meant to become. Trust in that journey. Trust in yourself. Know that no matter what comes your way, you have the power to rise above it. May you never forget your strength. May you never forget the light within you that cannot be extinguished. And may you continue to rise again and again in the fullness of who you truly are. If this journey has spoken to your soul, share this with one person who needs to hear it. Your story could be the light that helps them find their way out of the dark. And if you're ready to live the rest of your life from a place of unshakable power, hit that subscribe button. Let's continue this ascent together. Remember this: they told you to build a thicker skin, but the world didn't need you to be armored. It was waiting for you to be awakened.